What's up? My name is Ken Dumbo, the MC with the sauce. Don't forget to subscribe to J. Cool.
My good friend there, Jay. Let me just also acknowledge other senior, very important cooperating partners, representatives that are here, business community. The business community that have been engaged since yesterday, together with our ministers and other people at this very important summit. We acknowledge all of you. We start by emphasizing the importance of this summit. Our sister has done a great job to host this important summit, working with the World Bank, FDB, obviously our colleague from the Rockefeller Foundation and others that have not been mentioned prominently here. We say that water is life. I think we all agree with it. I'm here to add to that, saying that energy is life. I'm here to say so. Yes, water is the land, but how you extract that water for human consumption, for agriculture, irrigation, for example, for industrial use, if you have no energy. Yes, those that live close the water bodies, natural water bodies, perennial water bodies, will access some water. But they will not even be able to access it in a manner that will keep them safe in terms of health. Energy again, to process, to purify our water. So let's go away with an additional minimum that we should be saying that energy is life, as is water. I would like to argue. From the outset, Zambia is committed to universal energy access to all our people in the country, in our regions, on our continent, as it is for our global community. Very, very important. And affordable energy, affordable, if you like, food will only come when we've increased our productivity. And to increase our productivity, we need to irrigate. To irrigate, we need energy. Simple. So I am connecting the two. I think, having said all of that, there is no issue about, I think, individual countries' commitments. We are committed. We've already signed it. I think the issue is really how do we progress from here. Let me put a bit of context in terms of Zambia. We all talk about green energy because of climate change and other challenges that we face. True, very true. Zambia, just 24 months ago, was sitting in a pretty position of having an energy surplus, electricity. 85% of it green. Check the box. Never anticipated the worst drought in living memory. Bang. It took out probably 2 gigawatts of green energy, hydro. Took out. We already had the capacity. We were exporting in the region through the Southern African Power Pool. But one shock basically decapitated us in terms of the energy that was available to our households, to industry, mining in particular, included in that, not agriculture. What's the lesson? Diversification. This summit, Mission 300, African Energy Summit, I believe, and I listening to the conversations here, includes the critical element of having the right energy. Green, yes, but the right energy. So that we can be more resilient when we are shocked with one situation such as climate-induced, if you like, climate change-induced droughts. Tomorrow, there will be a flood-induced loss of energy. Very possible if we have excessive floods that may damage our generating capacity. I think it is very important that we therefore focus on the energy mix. The solars of this world, we have sun, Africa has the sun. I'm very happy to hear some conversation on this panel that we could actually export electricity into Europe underground transmission cable. I heard the story of transportation, transmission, generation, yes, increased generating capacity with the mix, solar, hydro, geothermal, wind, energy. But we need to evacuate that energy. We need to take it where it's needed, transmission. We also need to distribute it in the area, local area, wide area, whatever you want to call it. It's very, very important that this summit, and I know that I think the initiators, Akin and others, World Bank, you've looked into these issues. So I'm stating the obvious, maybe beating the skin of a dead cow so that the neighbor can hear that there used to be a cow in this skin. Very important. So I am saying as a country, from a surplus situation to a deficit situation within 12 months, meant that the mission 300 million for us in Zambia started because of this imperative of the drought. So before this summit, we had already commenced doing work that I think aligns with Mission 300, Africa and the Sun, such as one. Again, I was listening. I'm a good listener. I listened. There was a panel member here who talked about the issue of inviting the private sector into this sector. We cannot avoid the private sector. You may be moderate. We cannot avoid the private sector. Our national balance sheets are insufficient. I'm talking of government taxpayers' money and other sources. Insufficient to achieve the Mission 300 Energy Africa objectives of universal energy for all our people. Therefore, the private sector can partners, not them and us, but partners in this agenda. After all, they need the energy for their own business issues, minimums. So we in Zambia took a decision to reform the energy sector, including key components such as bringing on board independent power producers. Debate was going on before we took office for years and years, 30, 40 years. We decided to deal with that issue. Independent power producers or generators, call them what you want. Independent private power traders. I heard an argument here about the issue of evacuation. There is no one more efficient than the private sector to generate and to evacuate the power to where the demand is. Very important. We also put in place open access. The utility, which was almost a monopoly, which had a generation and transmission assets, had to be obligated to wheel the power from whoever is producing it at point B to where it's demanded at point C, in this case, the mine, for example. So now the utility is obligated to transmit the power by law. Changes were made. But it's a business. They have to be paid the winning charge. Tariffs were too low in our country. I'm saying things about our reforms. And I think that's the most important message I want to deliver today. It's part of our commitment to the Mission 300 Africa and the Sun. The tariffs were too low, could not attract the private sector. So we had to gradually work out a program to accelerate, to increase the tariffs so that it's commercially viable for the private sector to come in. What else? truly net metering, so that even small producers, households, can come into the frame. Rooftop solar, for example. If a fellow ordinary Zambian citizen is able to invest in 100 kilowatts of power, they only need 50 kilowatts. Right now, they can be considered as independent power producers. And so they generate 100, they consume 50, they put 50 on the grid for fire, for commercial fire. You asked me a question as a business person. It's very important. And I now sit in this position, which I never sat before. And we want to utilize both sides of the coin, private business and public sector management. And that's what we're doing in the country. And I think it's important for us on the continent to take the reforms in the energy sector seriously if we are to deliver the vision of 300 Africa Energy Summit. Simple and straight. There's no debate there. If we debate, we'll be wasting time. We'll be postponing things we should have done yesterday to tomorrow. And we don't have the time because we need to use energy to grow our economies faster. It's one of our agendas as a government. We inherited a debt burden. We worked very hard through that process. Now we've opened up the balance sheet and we're able to leverage on some of the things that I've heard being talked about here. So now, there's another aspect that we have to bring in ourselves called power blending. There are expensive sources. When you ensure supply, there are expensive sources, there are cheaper sources. In order to make it commercially sensitive, you have to do the blend. So I want to end here by saying Zambia is committed, the reforms are in place. I want to encourage other heads of state to run on with the reforms in the energy sector, as you need reforms in other sectors to accelerate economic growth for our country's jobs for young people, business opportunities, and to look after the sick, the old, the weak in society. We have to generate back. Let me conclude by saying that it is important that we, as Africans, take commitments we make serious and not expect someone to whip us. We must really drive ourselves. There's an imperative to drive ourselves. Partners are there to work with us, as we've seen here on this platform, but we basically must say charity begins at home. And it's good for our people, it's good for business, it's good for growth, it's good for commercial viability. With growing economies, it's easier to do things. But one little thing also, as I close, just one, cost of capital. I think I've heard it mentioned very mildly, very important. Africa has been discriminated against on the pricing of capital. Akin, you know this conversation well. I'm sure you didn't expect me to be seated here and not mention this. Equity is okay, but debt is necessary. At what price? We need you colleagues to help us mobilize this 45 billion. Yes, granting any philanthropy, yes, branch, but debt which is at an affordable price to make this agenda achievable. And I want to close by saying Africa is ready. Our individual countries are ready. Africa is ready to provide a business environment that will make it easier to achieve this agenda in this space, in the general business side of economies to support the social side. Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here.
Monsieur le Président. J'en profite pour rappeler la mission qu'on s'était fixée en début de panel, 3 à 5 minutes pour chaque déclaration, parce que vous savez qu'on en a un certain nombre pour toutes les écouter. Donc je comprends que les sujets sont passionnants et je sais que vous avez envie d'en dire encore plus, mais malheureusement nous sommes pris par le temps, donc je vais demander aux autres panélistes de bien vouloir tenter de relever le défi. Et je me tourne donc vers le représentant de la Libye, son Excellence M. Mohamed Al-Manfi, président du Conseil présidentiel de l'État de Libye. La Libye, on le sait, est en pleine reconstruction. Qui dit reconstruction dit besoin en énergie, en électricité. C'est certainement l'une des raisons qui nous motive à être ici et à signer cette déclaration de Dar es Salaam. Mais au-delà de ce premier élément, qu'avez-vous à partager avec nous concernant vos besoins, mais aussi vos ambitions pour la Libye?
Thanks for tuning in to JQ News. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for the latest updates on tech, politics, and everything in between. Until next time, stay cool.